Hey everybody, Colby with Mossy Creek Fly Fishing here to give you your weekly fly fishing forecast. The weather this week is looking hot again. Temps in the upper 80s and the 90s most of the week. Lows are going to be in the mid to low 60s, so a little bit cooler at night. The next couple days, we're not expecting any significant rainfall. It looks like Thursday in through the weekend, we're going to have the potential for some more afternoon thunderstorms and showers. So keep an eye on the radar and the weather updates as we progress through Wednesday and into Thursday. Over last week and this weekend, we did get some more rainfall. A lot of it was localized. So what that means is certain streams, certain creeks, certain rivers are flowing a little bit higher than others. The Shenandoah National Park, a lot of those streams did get some pretty significant rainfall over the weekend. So we're noticing gauges on the Rapidan, Rose, Conway, a lot of the eastern slope drainages are actually running pretty good right now. Dry River, Skidmore Fork, and North River, west of town, are running pretty thin. Water temps are still cool. We got water temps yesterday out at Skidmore and Dry River at 59 degrees. So the water's still staying nice and cool, but it's running pretty thin. So water's running really low. Good news is there's still a lot of good action to be had up in the mountains. Little yellow stoneflies have been extremely prolific this year. So the hatches have been really thick, really strong. We've been hearing those reports from all over the western part of the state. So size 14 and 16 little yellow stoneflies should be in your box pretty much through the rest of the summertime. Ants and beetles are also very important. Those terrestrial insects are available for those brook trout. You can make long casts with light leaders. Usually if that beetle makes a little plop, if it doesn't spook them, the fish will come running to eat them. Ants, beetles, little nymphs. When the water's low and thin, you can still fish nymphs. You'll have to go lighter so your fly doesn't just get stuck on the bottom. And also you're going to want to downsize your flies. 14, 16s, even 18s under the low thin water conditions that we're dealing with. If we get a bunch of rain, afternoon thunderstorm bumps up water flows, you'll need to upsize your nymphs, maybe add a little weight to get those down to the fish. Spring creeks, trichos in the morning. That's our big hatch. That's our most reliable hatch through summertime and into fall. Usually you can fish the emergence of those insects from daylight until about 8:30 this time of year. You'll have a spinner fall somewhere 8:30 to 9 o'clock. Hotter days, calmer days, windier days, that spinner fall could be a little bit earlier or later, but generally all those bugs are done and gone by 9:30, 10 o'clock. As we progress through the summer and into fall, you will notice that hatch does generally happen a little bit later. Sometimes in October when we have a big tricho spinner fall, it'll be 10:30 when those bugs are actually hitting the water. So still an early occurrence, early morning, you want to get out if you want to target those fish sipping trichos on the surface. Outside of that, terrestrials are in. Middle part of July is one of our favorite times to fish Japanese beetles, big beetle patterns, ants, smaller grasshoppers as they emerge. You can fish dry dropper rigs. A lot of times when those fish get tuned into Japanese beetles, you don't really need to fish anything else. You can prospect those flies along, which means you don't have to physically see a fish in order to alert them to that fly and get them to eat. A lot of times if you smack that beetle down on the water, it's like ringing the dinner bell for them. So the fish will come zipping across the creek to eat that beetle. If you do see a big fish on the surface looking for insects like trichos coming down, sometimes if you throw that beetle upstream of them, it'll give them time to look and inspect that fly. A little trick that we've used over the past to catch some of the bigger fish in the creek is actually drop the beetle behind their head or on their tail. If you force that fish to turn, a lot of times they'll commit to eating that fly. They won't have a chance to see it drag or see your leader or have them spook or shy away from it. So if you see a big fish in the creek, I know you're going to want to put that fly way upstream of them. Try that beetle, try throwing it on their tail, getting them to turn and eat it and see if that works for you. Little pro tip there. If we do get some rain and water levels come up, Make sure you still have your streamer box handy. Overcast, rainy days, dirty water, even muddy water can produce some of the biggest fish of the year, even through the hot summer days. So even if the water is low and clear, you're going to want to take your dry fly box, fish your terrestrials, blind fish those up and down the creek looking for big ones. If it does rain and we do have high muddy water conditions, get ready to throw your flies like your creelex, any big profile patterns, usually dark patterns on dark days. Keep all those big streamers handy for high water events. Bass fishing has been great. The little bump that we got in the South Fork really improved our fishing. The little bit of stain in the water also helped the fish be less spooky. So we've been dealing with very low, very clear water, which is fun because it's visual and you can get a lot of topwater fishing excitement out of that. But the big fish become wary. So a little bit of rise in the water and a little bit of stain can really help shield you from spooking a lot of fish. So crayfish patterns, hellgrammite patterns, bait fish patterns, a lot of good topwater fishing lately with flies like Todd's wiggle minnows, Murdich Sliders, obviously the Umpqua Swim Frogs, popular all summer long, cork bugs, and Rio's soft chew. So make sure you have plenty of topwater flies in your box ready to go. A lot of times we'll see the best topwater action in the afternoon once the dragonflies and damselflies become super active. If you start off in the morning fishing, the topwater bite is slow. Don't be discouraged. It's pretty common just about every day. Sometimes 9 o'clock to 11:30, your topwater bite could be a little bit slow. Fish could be a little lethargic. Go ahead and fish your subsurface patterns and wait until you start to see fish coming to the surface. Then put those topwater bugs on and have fun the rest of the day. Reports, though, from group trips Friday all through the weekend were excellent. The weather pattern is pretty stable again until Thursday, so expect good fishing most of this week until the next front comes through. We'll kind of see what the rain and weather does. Keep an eye on our social media. In the event that we get big afternoon thunderstorms, we'll try to alert people if a creek floods, gets muddy, too high, or unsafe for fishing. Same with the South Fork Shenandoah. We anticipate being able to fish all week unless we get a big afternoon storm that might blow out a tributary or blow out the river. Carp fishing should be good. Again, you need clear conditions to fish for carp. They are available usually on the flats, the long silty stretches, certain sections of river with a lot of water willow. They like to feed and browse around that as well. Damselfly nymphs, crayfish imitations, hellgrammites, anything that's on the bottom, worm patterns. We have some carp specific patterns that'll work as well. Fun thing to do pretty much the rest of the summer and into fall. Be prepared, always have a rod rigged for a big common carp in the river system because they are available almost every day for you to get a couple shots at. Musky fishing pretty much on hold right now. Water temps are in the mid-70s on the South Fork. That can be lethal if you fight and handle them. So it doesn't mean that we're necessarily done fishing for muskie through summer. If we have a cold snap and our water temps go back down into the upper 60s, we can safely fish for them again. But it could be until fall before we're on them again if the water temps stay kind of where they are or potentially get even warmer. So good idea to give them a break until the conditions are more favorable for them. Outside of that, we've been loading the shop with flies last couple of weeks, getting a ton of fly orders in. Got all the terrestrials that you'll need, ants, beetles, grasshoppers, trico patterns, and everything you need for bass fishing top to bottom. So if you need anything, let us know. And just another reminder, we're going to be Parkway Brewing in Salem 2 Saturdays from now. So mark that on your calendar. You'll see some more on our social media. Everybody in the Roanoke, Blacksburg, Salem area, if you're around, we should have the local TU chapter and the local Project Healing Waters program joining us for a fun day of hanging out, talking fishing, testing new gear, trying things on, and just having a good time. Talk to you then. Thanks.